They called him insane. A reckless dreamer. It was the year 1828. In a dimly lit hospital in London, a woman lay dying. Her face pale, her breath faint. She had just given birth, and was now bleeding out, minute by minute, life draining from her body. Doctors stood around helpless, murmuring Latin terms, writing notes. No one knew what to do. Blood loss, back then, was a death sentence. And for women after childbirth, it was heartbreakingly common. But one young physician stood apart. His name was James Blundell. He was barely 30. Not yet a professor, not yet respected. But he carried a quiet fire, an idea, dangerous and untested. He had watched too many mothers die. He remembered something his uncle once said. Blood is not just a liquid. It is the very spirit of life. And only blood can replace blood. And so, in that cramped, musty room, James made a decision that would shock the world. He took a syringe, drew blood from the woman's husband, and with hands trembling, but heart steady, he infused that blood into her veins. No machines. No blood bank. No precedent. It was the first human-to-human blood transfusion ever attempted. And the woman lived. Her pulse returned. Her cheeks regained color. It was as if death had knocked, and James politely said, "Not today." The world laughed. "It's luck," they said. "It's witchcraft," some muttered. But history remembers something different. History remembers courage. Vision. The moment medicine changed forever. Now, fast forward 200 years. We live in a world James could never imagine, full of scans, monitors, apps, tests that cost less than a cup of coffee. And yet, here's the tragedy. Millions of seniors today are dying, not from lack of medicine, but from not checking one simple number. One number. In your blood test. Ignored. Overlooked. Forgotten. And that number could quietly warn you of a stroke before it strikes. My name is Harold. I'm 76. I survived a heart attack. And what I'm about to tell you could save your life, or someone you love. Stay with me. Don't skip. Don't scroll. This is not just a story from 1828. This is your story. Your future. Because blood still speaks. And you need to listen. For most of my life, I thought I was doing everything right. I walked every morning. Cut down on fried foods. Took my pills. Smiled when people said I looked strong for my age. And when my doctor handed me that annual blood work form, I folded it, tucked it into my jacket pocket, and never looked at it again. Blood test. I'd chuckle. Come on, I'm not made of rust. I'm still walking. You see, like many men in their 70s, I believed that if I didn't feel pain, then nothing was wrong. That belief nearly cost me everything. It started with small things, things I brushed off. I'd forget where I parked the car at the grocery store. Lose my words mid-sentence. Find myself, just blanking out for a few seconds while reading. And then, came the moment. I was pruning roses in the backyard, something I've done for decades. I stood up too fast. My vision went black. For 3, maybe 4 seconds. And when it cleared, I wasn't scared. I was angry. Angry at myself. Because deep down, I knew something was off. I scheduled a full checkup. Told my doctor everything. And when the blood work came back, she called me personally. Harold, your hematocrit is 34%. That's dangerously low for someone your age. I paused. I had no idea what hematocrit even meant. She explained, it's the percentage of red blood cells in your blood. When it drops too low, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. It's like running your car on low oil. That image stayed with me. I'd been running my brain on low oxygen for months. And that's when she said another word that sent a chill through me. You're at high risk of a silent stroke. I had heard of strokes. My neighbor had one. One side of his face never moved again. But a silent stroke? I'd never heard the term. Turns out, it's a real condition. And it affects millions of seniors. You don't feel pain. You don't collapse. But tiny blood vessels in your brain start to clog. And with every episode, a little more of you disappears. Your memory. Your speech. Your balance. Yourself. I dove into research that night. I read papers from the American Heart Association, clinical findings that showed seniors with low hematocrit are significantly more likely to experience ischemic events, even with normal blood pressure. I found a 2019 review in Stroke Journal, showing that men over 70 with HCT under 38% were 31% more likely to suffer silent cognitive decline linked to minor strokes. And yet, nobody talks about it. We talk about blood pressure. We talk about cholesterol. But hematocrit? Never once did a friend mention it. Never once did I see a YouTube video that said, "Hey, check your HCT." So I made it my mission. I began tracking my HCT every month. Adjusted my diet, more spinach, lentils, lean meats. Reduced alcohol. Took a gentle iron supplement under my doctor's supervision. The first 2 months, nothing. But by month 3, I noticed something remarkable. I wasn't as foggy. I could read a whole chapter again without drifting off. I remembered names. My walks were longer. My wife said I even looked younger. Maybe it was a placebo. Maybe not. But what I do know is this. Blood is still life. James Blundell proved that in 1828, when he risked ridicule to save a woman's life through transfusion. And today, you can save your own life, not with a needle, but with awareness. All it takes is checking one number. So let me ask you. When was the last time you knew your hematocrit? I used to think numbers didn't matter. Especially not the ones in blood test reports. What mattered, I believed, was how I felt. If I'm not dizzy, not tired, not confused, I told myself, then I must be doing okay. Turns out, that's not how the body works. You can feel fine, right up until the moment your body says, too late. It began innocently. I forgot a few things, where I left my glasses, or why I opened the fridge. I missed a step while walking down the porch. I blamed it on aging. Everyone does. But then came a moment I'll never forget. One morning, I stood up after my usual walk, and the world tilted. Blackness. Just for a second. When it passed, I wasn't scared. I was ashamed. Because I'd ignored the signs for too long. At the clinic, Dr. Emily Rhodes, my cardiologist, looked at my blood panel and said, "Harold, your hematocrit is at 33. That's low, and it may explain the fogginess." She paused. "You're not just aging, Harold. Your brain isn't getting enough oxygen. And that puts you at serious risk of a silent stroke." A silent stroke. I'd heard the term but never thought it applied to me. Dr. Rhodes explained. These strokes don't knock you down. They chip away memory, clarity, and personality. They're sneaky. But real. She shared a study from the American Heart Association. Men over 65 with hematocrit levels under 38% showed a 30% higher incidence of silent ischemic events. That study changed me. Because I realized. I was a number on that page. What's your hematocrit right now? Most people I ask have no idea. Just like I didn't. But that number, just one line on your lab sheet, could mean the difference between clarity and confusion, between independence and nursing care. So stay with me, because this next part might save your life. Dr. Rhodes didn't just diagnose. She gave me a plan. Track HCT monthly. She gave me a simple tracker. I've now added it in the video description for you. More iron-rich foods. Spinach, lentils, beef liver. Never liked it, but I learned. Reduce alcohol. Hydrate more. Gentle supplements if levels stay low after 8 weeks. I followed it. Slowly, my numbers improved. More importantly, so did my clarity. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I am a survivor. And if you're over 60, if you've had moments of dizziness, confusion, or sudden fatigue, then you owe it to yourself to check one number, your hematocrit. I've created a free HCT check tracker PDF, links is in the description. And we've got a private Facebook group where we share results, recipes, support, and stories, Healthy Living with Harold. Because the lesson here isn't just medical. It's personal. I missed the signs. I learned from them. Now, I'm sharing them with you. So that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to learn the hard way. Let's talk facts now. Not fear. Not an opinion. Just what science, and your body, are trying to tell us. Hematocrit. That's the percentage of your blood made up of red blood cells. Think of it as your oxygen delivery team. The lower your hematocrit, the less oxygen reaches your brain, your muscles, your heart. And your brain, above all, is the most oxygen-hungry organ in your body. Now, here's the kicker, most labs will tell you that anything from 38% to 50% is normal. But what's normal is not always optimal. Especially for seniors, and especially if you already show signs of memory slips, fatigue, or blood pressure swings. And here's something most of us were never told. A 2021 study from the Journal of Stroke and Cerebrovascular Diseases found this. Adults over 65 with hematocrit under 38% were 2.7 times more likely to experience silent ischemic brain damage. These aren't dramatic strokes. No slurred speech. No drooping face. These are micro-injuries. Invisible. But permanent. Like slow termites eating through your mind. Another peer-reviewed article in Neurology noted, even a 1% drop in hematocrit was associated with a 4.5% increased risk of mild cognitive impairment. That's just 1 point. But it means names start slipping. Directions get fuzzy. Balance wavers. Why don't we hear this on the news? Because most people aren't asking the right questions. And, because in most clinics, if your number isn't dangerously low, doctors simply don't mention it. They wait until the damage is visible. That silence, like the silence before a storm, is exactly what we need to break. Now, I'm not saying you should panic if your number is 36 or 37. But you should pay attention. You should monitor. You should act early. Which brings me to this. Dr. Emily Rhodes, a cardiologist who's helped me understand my heart in ways I never imagined, said this. Harold, cognition is tied to oxygen. Oxygen travels via red blood cells. No red blood cells, no clarity. It's not just about feeling tired. It's about your brain slowly getting less of what it needs. She showed me side-by-side scans. Patients with low hematocrit had more white matter lesions, damage that grows, and rarely heals. That's when I asked, what can I do? And she said, track it. Ask about it. Adjust if needed. It's that simple. You're in charge of your numbers now. So I started. A small notebook at first. I wrote down my HCT every 3 months. I started noticing patterns, dips when I got dehydrated, when I skipped iron-rich foods, when stress got high. Over time, I created a tracker, one that made it visual, easy to print, and easy to use with your doctor. Today, that tracker is free for anyone watching this. It's in the video description. Use it. Show it to your physician. Ask them, is my HCT where it needs to be for someone my age, with my history? They'll appreciate the question. And you'll earn their respect as a patient who takes charge. Remember, one number monitored over time can rewrite the story of your brain's future. You don't have to fear dementia to prevent it. You just have to start listening to your blood. And start asking better questions. Let me paint you a picture. Two men. Same age. Same town. Same annual checkup schedule. Their names? Frank and George. Frank is 72. Retired mechanic. Still walks to the grocery store every morning. Keeps a little notebook of his lab results. George. Also 72. Used to teach high school. Big reader. Doesn't like going to the doctor unless necessary. At their last checkup, both men had their blood tested. Same clinic. Same day. Same panel. Frank's HCT. 39%. George's HCT. 35%. Neither number caused alarm. The lab marked them both as normal. But Frank, a year earlier, had joined a little Facebook group, ours. He'd heard about Hematocrit from a friend. Started tracking it. Read the PDF we shared. So when his HCT dipped slightly below 40, he brought it up. Doctor, he said, my hematocrit dropped a bit. Should we look into iron or hydration? His doctor smiled. Adjusted a few things. Ran an extra panel. Turns out Frank was slightly anemic, likely from diet and dehydration. Easy fix. He added beans, greens, and liver once a week. 6 months later, Frank's HCT was back at 42. He felt more energetic. No more afternoon crashes. He even started playing pickleball again. George, on the other hand, never checked his numbers. 3 months after that same checkup, he had what the doctor called a minor ischemic incident. Not dramatic. Just a strange day of confusion. He couldn't find his car. Forgot his address briefly. His family brought him in. The MRI showed signs of silent strokes, likely building over the past year. Doctors believe his consistently low hematocrit may have played a role. But no one had flagged it. 2 men. 1 metric. 2 very different outcomes. Which path are you on? Because what saved Frank wasn't a miracle. It was attention. And what hurt George wasn't just age. It was an omission. I tell you this because I was once like George. Smart. Educated. Thought I understood my body. But I didn't. Not until someone opened my eyes. And now, I want to open yours. That's why we've built these tools. The HCT Tracker PDF. A clear, printable log. Real example entries. Reminders for hydration, diet, and testing. It's in the video description, free, forever. And that's why we created our Facebook group. Not just to share good news. But to catch small problems before they become big ones. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Don't wait for a scare. Track it now. Ask now. Share now. Frank did. George didn't. Now you get to choose. Now, you and I both know something. We know that knowing isn't doing. And watching this video won't change a thing in your life, unless you take action. The kind of action I never took, until it was almost too late. Back then, I ignored that little number, hematocrit. No one told me to track it. No one warned me what could happen. It was just a small detail in my lab results, until the stroke hit. But listen to me now, you don't have to wait for a wake-up call like I did. Take control, before life chooses you. Here's what I wish someone had told me 15 years ago. 1. Download the HCT Tracker PDF below this video. It's not just a piece of paper. It's your map. Print it. Keep it visible. Bring it to your doctor. 2. Write down your hematocrit number after every blood test. Circle it. Highlight it. Ask your doctor to explain it. Track the pattern. 3. At your next appointment, ask this one life-changing question. Doctor, is my HCT where it needs to be for someone my age? To protect my brain and heart long-term? 4. Feed your blood the right way. Iron matters. Hydration matters. Small, consistent choices make big differences. Eat smarter. Drink enough. Keep moving. 5. Join our Facebook group, Stay Well with Harold. There's no shame in asking questions. No judgment. Just a safe place to learn. 6,000 plus members who decided they were worth it. Your future doesn't change in a hospital room. It changes, right now. With one printout. One number. One powerful decision. Maybe you're watching this, thinking, this sounds important, but I'll deal with it later. I understand. I used to be the same. Put it off. Tell myself I'll call the doctor next week. After the holiday. After the grandkids leave. But here's the hard truth I had to learn. Later doesn't always come. The heart doesn't wait. The brain doesn't wait. And silent strokes, they don't send you a warning text. They have just arrived. Quietly. And take something from you that you may never get back. Do you want to be the person who says, I wish I had paid attention? Or the person who says, I'm glad I did something when I still could? When James Blundell gave that first blood transfusion in 1828, people thought he was crazy. They mocked him. They said, why bother? The man's already dying. But Blundell didn't give up on life. He gave blood because he believed one drop could change everything. Today, that drop is in your hands. Not literally, no. But in the form of knowledge. Awareness. A test. A tracker. A choice. You don't need to become a doctor. You just need to ask one smart question. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to begin with yourself. So if you've made it this far in the video, I want you to do 3 small things. 1. Download the HCT Tracker PDF in the description. 2. Ask your doctor about your number. Not just cholesterol. Ask about hematocrit. 3. Share this video with someone you love who's over 60. Because this isn't just a story about an old man named Harold, or a long-dead doctor named Blundell. This is your story now. And I hope it's a longer one.